Guys, today I'm going to be explaining Canada's TFSA or tax-free savings account. I'm going to be going over everything you need to know about it. I know this is a confusing account with a lot of people, and if you're new to investing or saving or money, then you probably don't know too much about this. So I'm going to go over it and try and give you a simple breakdown that you'll be able to understand. So what is a TFSA? A TFSA or tax-free savings account was introduced in 2009 by the Canadian government as a way to encourage Canadians to save / invest money. The name for the TFSA is very misleading, and it does cause a lot of people to just put their money into the TFSA and leave it there without actually investing in it. It's called a savings account, which it is not really meant for. It is more meant for investing. If you just put your money into the TFSA, nothing's going to happen. It's just going to sit there and not grow at all. You kind of want to buy stuff with that money, or else the TFSA is useless. It's basically just a bank account for your money at that point with no interest. So you definitely want to have investments inside your TFSA in order for your money to actually go up in value, hopefully. Who is eligible for a tax-free savings account? Any individual that is a resident of Canada who has a valid SIN and who is 18 years of age or older is eligible to open a tax-free savings account. Any individual that is a non-resident of Canada who has a valid SIN and who is 18 years of age or older is also eligible to open a tax-free savings account. However, any contributions made while a non-resident will be subject to a 1% tax for each month the contribution stays in the account. You cannot open a tax-free savings account or contribute to one until you turn 18 years old. However, when you turn 18, you will be able to contribute up to the full dollar limit for that year. So, for example, Julie turned 18 on May 13th, 2020. She will not be able to open and contribute to the TFSA until that date. However, from May 13th, 2020, she can open a TFSA and contribute up to the full $2020 limit. So, just a note here. In certain provinces, it may be 19, which you can enter a contract, which includes opening a TFSA. In this case, when the individual turns 19 and is able to enter into the contract in that jurisdiction, the tax-free savings account contribution room for the year an individual turns 18 is carried over to the following year. So you just have to wait longer to invest in certain provinces, but you're certainly not penalized by losing a year of contribution room. And I'll get into more what contribution room is later in the video. If you guys are confused, you definitely will understand later. Just come back to this part if you have any questions or confused about it, because it might not make sense now if you don't know anything about contribution room, but I will be explaining that later in the video. So how do you actually open a TFSA? So you obviously want to open a tax-free savings account, which can be done through your bank or through investment platforms such as Simple Trade and Questrade. Those are the two I would recommend if you are going to be investing. Those are the two I definitely check out if you want to do it without your bank to avoid some of the higher fees. But you can definitely do it through your bank as well if you just want it to be a bit easier for you and kind of get some help with it. Once you have opened your tax-free savings account, you can deposit funds into the account and start choosing which investments you would like to purchase. I would definitely do lots of research before choosing which investment you want to start out with, as you want to make sure you choose a solidified investment and not too a more safe stock. You wouldn't want to choose a stock that's very risky, because it may end up going down and you could end up losing your contribution room. And you also want to be careful to not go over your contribution limit, as this will be resulting in penalties. So I will be explaining how you can figure out your contribution room later again. So just hang tight for that. So what type of investments can you actually hold inside of a TFSA? You can hold anything from stocks, real estate investment trusts or REITs, bonds, cash, mutual funds, index funds, or ETFs, and basically any investment you can think of. If you aren't sure, check with your bank or look it up if you can invest a different type of investment if it's not up here. But I would stick to one of the ones up here, or if you want to get more advanced, do something else, look it up and see if you can actually invest that into a tax-free savings account, or talk to a financial advisor about it. But yeah, you can hold many types of investments in a tax-free savings account. So how do you know how much your contribution limit is? So the short answer would just to be looking at this chart. So if you're turning 18 this year, you would have been born in 2003. So on your birthday, you could contribute $6,000. If you were born in 1991 or before that, you would be able to contribute $75,500. So every year on January 1st, the government kind of selects an amount what you can contribute to your tax-free savings account. The last couple of years, it's been $6,000, including 2021. And in 2022, they say they could increase it to like 6,500. They kind of increase it by a couple $100 every few years just to keep up with inflation. But yeah, so the limit of contribution does carry over. So if you were born in 1995 and never contributed before, you would still have the $5,500 or $55,000 that you would get, not only the $6,000 in 2021. So it makes it so you don't have to invest every year. So if you don't have money till after you're done university and you have a bunch of student debt, you don't really miss out. It's never too late to invest in a tax-free savings account. You can always catch up on that contribution limit later in life. And also, if you're married, you guys both get your own tax-free savings account. Don't think that just because you're married or have joint accounts, you only get the one pair of the one $75,500. You would both get that amount to contribute, which is amazing. And surprisingly, a lot of people think that they only get one tax-free savings account and they only use one of them. But this is the one of the best ways to save money tax-free in Canada. So you want to capitalize on this opportunity as much as possible. On the next slide, I'll be going over the benefits of the tax-free savings account, which you definitely need to stick around for because it is very important that you watch that part to actually understand what makes the TFSA so great. So you've probably been waiting for this part of the video. What are the benefits of a TFSA, or why should you have a tax-free savings account? So the main benefit is that it protects your investments from taxes. So you can contribute any amount up to your contribution limit, obviously, and the growth from these investments will be tax-free. So let's say you invested $5,000 and then a year from now the stock doubled and you'd have $10,000. So that would all be tax-free, even though it gained, and it wouldn't take away from your contribution limit. And another benefit is that you can also withdraw funds from your tax-free savings account at any time without being penalized by any fees or taxes. Once you withdraw funds from your tax-free savings account, you lose the amount you withdrew from your contribution limit temporarily until the following year on January 1st, in which you would get the money you withdrew added back onto your contribution limit, along with the new contribution limit for that selected year. So for example, if I had $6,000 invested and a $6,000 contribution limit, and I withdrew $3,000, my contribution limit for the rest of that year would be $3,000 until the following year on January 1st, in which I would get the $3,000 I withdrew back in that new year and whatever the contribution limit is from the Canadian government. However, if you invest and the company goes down or the stock goes down or wherever your investment went down in value, you would lose that contribution room. So you definitely want to pick good, secure stocks that are bound to go over time, and you want to invest for the long term, usually inside a TFSA, because you don't want to sell at a loss. And generally, if you invest in secure stocks, it's going to go up if you hold on to it for a couple of years. So let's say you bought $5,000 in a stock and sold it at $2,500, you would lose that $2,500 contribution room forever. It would just be gone, and you'd have $2,500 in contribution room less than everyone else your age. If you're unsure about what your contribution limit is, you can log into your CRA account and it will display it for you as well, but keep in mind it does not update frequently. So you definitely want to keep track in a chart somewhere of the money you invest into a tax-free savings account so you always know what your contribution limit is. So there are actually a couple more benefits I do want to go over. So you can open as many tax-free savings accounts as you want, as long as you are still within the contribution limit. So for example, if you wanted to invest in US stocks in a tax-free savings account with your bank because you don't want to pay the simple 1.5% fee when you buy and sell stocks, you can do that, and you can invest in the Canadian stocks with one simple trade if you want to avoid the bank's fees for Canadian stocks. So you could open a tax-free savings account with your bank, with Questrade. You could open them, like 4 of them if you want to. I just wouldn't. I like to keep it with one, to be honest. But some people do open them with multiple to avoid fees. I just kind of like to have all my stuff on one place. So whether it's through my bank or through Wealth Simple Trade. Another benefit is that the growth within your tax-free savings account does not affect your contribution limit. So for example, if you're 18 and had a contribution limit of $6,000 and you invested the full 6K, and all of a sudden the value of that 6K went up to 10K, you would still get the full contribution limit the following year despite you having more money within your tax-free savings account. So you could put 6,000 in and it could go up to $10,000 in value. Doesn't mean your contribution limit changes at all. It just means that your investments have shot up, and now you have $10,000, and you initially invested six. So that means your investments have done really well. That's all that means, and it doesn't penalize you at all when your stocks go up, which is amazing. So, in conclusion, to wrap things up, I'm going to give you a couple things to keep in mind about tax-free savings accounts. You don't want to invest in risky investments with this. You want to invest in stocks that have a proven track record of success. I'm not giving you financial advice on what investments to pick, but I definitely would suggest picking safe stocks, whether that's index funds or secure like bank stock. Canadian bank stocks are great. I'm not going to tell you which ones, but I made a video on that last video, so you can check that out. I'll leave it in the description below. You want to pick secure safe stocks. Whether I would recommend index funds if you don't want to study the market too much, because it allows you to invest in multiple companies, like hundreds of companies with one buying one investment, and they have an annual return rate of about 8% a year, which is amazing. Another thing is I would talk to an advisor if you want to ensure you pick solid companies. They'll probably tell you to pick an index fund, but talk to him if you're unsure, and you can kind of have him as someone who's going to answer your questions live on the spot, whether just watching a video. So it's going to help you a bit more if you are unsure and don't want to do a lot of research and just kind of want someone to do it for you. It is nice to have an advisor. You also want to do plenty of research on what brokerage or bank you want to open your tax-free savings account, because the fees will be higher in some banks than others and some brokerages than others. So see which one is best for you. I personally am going to use Simple Trade. I use that one. It personally is the best for me because I like Canadian stocks and U.S. stocks. I just pay the fee that there is for U.S. stocks, just because there's no fees on buying Canadian stocks, which most of my portfolio is in. And if you want me to do a portfolio video of my stocks that I hold, just let me know in the comments below. I will be doing one of those probably eventually. So I'm just going to build up a bit more before I start. But anyways, that wraps up this video. Subscribe if you want to learn more about Canadian finances and stocks and things like that. And yeah, thanks for watching, and peace.